All right, call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Spurling. Here. Trustee Lee. Trustee Heinz. Trustee Youngerman.
Yay.
Trustee Marisak.
Here.
And Trustee Bond.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum this evening. I'll move on to public participation. First, we have public comment. Any member of the public can address the board on any topic for 2 minutes, if they wish, but they're not obligated to. All right, hearing no one, we'll move on. I would like to invite Deputy Chief Sanders to the podium for the swearing in of 2 officers tonight, which is pretty rare for us to swear in 2 at the same time, so.
Good evening, everyone. We are fortunate today to have 2 new hires that we'll be introducing to you. We will do them one at a time, so each of them can be introduced to you. So I will start with our first hire, which is Keith Gardner. Step up here, Keith. All right, Keith was in Suburban Law Enforcement Academy Class 18-01. They graduated on September 29th. Both successfully passed their Illinois certification and are certified officers in the state of Illinois. Keith has a bachelor's degree from Western Illinois University. He was a prior deputy sheriff for the Cook County Department of Corrections. He is joined today in the audience by his mother and father, Ken and Shar Garner, and his girlfriend/fiance, Jill. So at this point, we'll do the swearing in for Keith.
Awesome. Thank you.
By being sworn in, does that get rid of the slash and just become fiance? No pressure.
Oh, let me be clear. So that was the proposal?
Awesome. Perfect timing.
Steve, you just ruined the surprise.
All right, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Illinois. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of police officer. To the best of my ability.
Okay, and pinning Keith will be his parents, Ken and Shar. Want to come down to do the pinning?
Welcome.
Go right in the middle. And pinning on Keith will be his father, Ken. You want to come up and do your photos now? That's just you.
Just Matt. Nice.
One up. I have a black or a blue suit. First, I was thinking it was Justin's app making that noise. Awesome. So, congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Keith. Again, you were joined by the board members, village president, village administrator, staff, media, and guests. Next, I'll be calling up our other new hire, Rodney Wells. We're also joined by other members of the department, who these guys have known very well, so hopefully they'll be able to stay with us for a little while. Okay, this is Rodney Wells. Again, he graduated from the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy on September 29th, class 18-01. Rodney joins us as a former Marine, so thank you for your service. He is joined by guests mother-in-law and father-in-law, Lana and Bill, his fiance, who will be pinning him, Kate, his children, Penelope and Declan. Thank you for coming. This time, we'll swear Rodney in.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Illinois. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Welcome.
And pinning Rodney will be his fiancee, Kate.
Todd, that was a daddy move. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That was great, though.
Awesome. Just want to thank everybody for coming. You certainly do not have to stay for the whole meeting. Won't be offended if you leave. But I do like to always mention, notice your fellow officers that are here this evening to support you tonight and every other night that you're a member of the force here in Montgomery. So welcome and appreciate your service. All right, we'll move on to a few proclamations. The first one we have is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Teresa, did you want to read this one? Didn't you read it last year? No?
No, you read it last time.
Oh,
If
okay.
you want, I'll read it if you want me to.
It's up to you. All right. I'll read the proclamation, entertain a motion for approval. Whereas since the awareness program began in 1985, mammography. What? Mammography. See, I had to practice that last year. Rates have more than doubled for women age 50 and older, and breast cancer deaths have declined. And whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month seeks to increase public knowledge about the importance of early detection and treatment of breast cancer, and whereas many women still do not utilize mammography at regular intervals, even though research indicates it is the best available method of detection. And whereas the National Cancer Institute estimates that in the United States, more than 230,000 new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed this year, and over 40,000 people will die. And whereas taking advantage of early detection methods such as mammography and clinical breast exams could help the breast cancer death rate drop by approximately 30%. And whereas the American Cancer Society and other organizations continue to search endlessly for a cure through vital research and to reduce the risks of breast cancer through the community education. Now, therefore, I, Matt Brawley, Village President in Montgomery, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Montgomery and urge all women and their families to get the facts about breast cancer, support those courageously fighting breast cancer, and honor the lives lost to this devastating disease.
Thank you. Move to approve.
Second?
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Thank you. And the second one we have this evening is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence crimes ranging in severity from simple assault to homicide occur with alarming frequency. And whereas thousands of children witness domestic violence against a caregiving parent each year, putting them at risk for long-term physical and mental health problems and increasing the likelihood that they will become perpetrators or victims of domestic violence themselves. And whereas the effects of domestic violence reach far beyond its victims and perpetrators, causing disruption in our schools, places of work and worship, and neighborhoods. And whereas, as individuals, as a community, we need to increase our capacity to deal with domestic violence, supporting domestic violence victims in their quest for safety and dignity, and holding the perpetrators accountable for their behavior. Now, therefore, I, Matt Brawley, Village President in Montgomery, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the Village and urge all of our citizens to work together to eliminate domestic violence from our community.
I move to approve.
Second?
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yay.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
President Brawley, before we move on, could we just have a moment? I have a question about something on the consent agenda that I'd like to speak with Administrator Zolfel about.
Certainly.
Come with me. Just need some clarification.
So while we're waiting, I'll go over future meetings, so I don't have to do this later. Historic Preservation, Monday, October 16th. The Committee of the Whole meeting on the 17th will likely cancel. And then our next Village Board meeting and intergovernmental will be 2 weeks from tonight on October 23rd.
Beautification.
What's that?
E.
And Beautification meets October 25th. And that's the judging.
That's the judging for Halloween decorations.
Shameless plug, go.
So if you have decorated or plan to decorate your property with Halloween festivities, please enter your property or that of a neighbor, and we'll be judging on Wednesday, October 25th, and we'll have awards for the winning entries.
Awesome.
Thank you.
When are you judging?
October 25th, and volunteers are welcome for judging.
Let me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's possible. They have room.
Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. I believe we'll be pulling item F for items for separate action. So item A, minutes of the Village Board meeting of September 25th, the building report for September of 2017, accounts receivable report for September, accounts payable through October 5th, the cancellation of the October 17th Committee of the Whole meeting, and then G, Ordinance 1780, authorizing the purchase of real estate. And this is for Light Road and the second reading.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Call the roll.
Trustee Spurling. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. And then item F for consent, we'll move that down, and that'll be item F. Like we planned that. All right, moving on, items for separate action. Item A is recommendation of Plan Commission of PC 2017-012 special use for recreation and commercial use located at 1725 Crescent Lake Drive, and this is the Archery Place LLC. And with that, Senior Planner Jared Chipman.
Thank you very much. Before you this evening, Village Board is a special use request for a recreation commercial use. You may remember a similar use that came into the village as an indoor baseball facility just down the road here. So this is a similar classification as that in the recreation commercial. Is located in the M1 Limited Manufacturing District. The petitioner is the Archery Place. Their plan is to have an indoor archery range, so with some sales, a little bit of office space as well, and a number of different bays for archery practice. Staff took a look at their request per the zoning ordinance and really focused on parking. In regards to parking, some additional information had been brought to our attention after the distribution of the original staff report, and then again at the meeting. So we have issued an addendum to the staff report, which details the parking requirements and the changes therein. Now, the parking requirements, it all resulted in being deficient in 2 spaces for the property. However, staff still recommended approval of this because there is some on-street parking location, and the petitioner has provided a letter from a neighboring property owner authorizing them to use some parking spaces that are currently underutilized because the facility is now being used as warehouse rather than an office warehouse combination. So therefore qualifying at this point in time. If something changes and there is a parking issue, we will have to relook at that with the property owner. The Plan Commission voted 5-0 in approval of this item, and the petitioner, Mr. Kevin Helwig, and his wife are here this evening if you have any questions. With that, I would ask if you have any questions of me.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for Jared or the petitioner? One question I had is the parking, and I don't know if they asked this at Plan Commission, the parking on the east side of the building. I guess where's the entrance to the building, and will you be able to get from one side to the entrance, you know?
So the entrance to the building, they've actually cut in a new door for this use because there's an office use in the front portion of the building. The new door is on the west side, I'd say 20 feet away from the front of the building. There is not internal access through the building to the east side parking, so you would have to walk around the front of the building to get to the entrance of this facility.
Mm-hmm. And is there a paved route to do that?
I guess I'm not 100% certain. I see the sidewalks to the doors, but I do not believe that there is one connecting.
Okay. But without these on the east, they're too short of the required parking?
Altogether with the east and west,
Okay.
the property as a whole.
So altogether with all of these, is the too shy?
That's
Okay.
correct. And that's for the entire building, not just
Yeah.
for this use.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments?
I have a question. The additional parking that was mentioned in the letter,
Yes.
based on the photo,
Okay.
where is that located in conjunction to the entrance?
So, unfortunately, on this image, you are not able to see it, but it is to the northeast, is directly adjacent to the northeast. So
And the
there's-
entrance is where?
There is an entrance on, just off of Crescent Lake.
For this building, for this use?
For this
Is
use,
there.
the entrance is here.
So it's the other side
So
of
it is a little ways away.
Okay.
And that would be staff, hopefully, if you needed to. That would be for staff parking or whatnot if it need to be. Okay. Awesome.
Take a motion to accept Planning Commission's recommendation?
Second?
In the second, any further discussion? Cool. Call the roll.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
And Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
All right. And thank you. The next item, which is ordinance 1782, granting the special use, is the first reading, so we won't take a vote on that tonight. Since we do have 2 board members absent, we'll we won't add this to consent, so we'll talk about it next time. If you have any objections or issues, please send those along to Jared so we can talk about those in the next meeting, but I'm not hearing any objections at this point, which is, I'm excited about this project, actually. All right, I'll move on to the next two. The first one, recommendation of Plan Commission of PC 2017-002Z regarding off-street parking text amendment to Section 13 of our zoning ordinance. Go ahead, Jared.
All right, thank you very much. Before you this evening is an item that that staff and the Planning Commission have been working on for a number of months, and you may remember that we haven't had a meeting in a little while. So this dates all the way back to close to the first of the year as a project that we had begun. Basically, what we're looking to do here is to replace the first 5 sections of Section 13 of the zoning ordinance, which is the off-street parking and loading requirements. So sections 1 through 5 basically deal with the parking requirements, and we have not yet gotten to the loading requirements. Some of the large changes to this section is not only a reformatting and reorganizing of the section, but we did include a number of provisions. One is we had updated the depth of pavement required, the minimum requirement for pavement, whether that be concrete or asphalt. We also added a provision for pavers in that portion. Now, the Plan Commission did request that we update that section regarding pavers, and that will be coming to you, that small update will be coming to you at the next board meeting. So I wanted to make sure to highlight that. In addition, the main change in this is we've taken a lot more comprehensive view of the land uses based in this ordinance. And so we have a large matrix at the end of the ordinance that discusses a lot more land uses than previously. One of the large goals of this project is, as a national trend and even a local trend, municipalities are determining that they are overparked in their requirements for especially many retail commercial units. And so that this ordinance does attempt to minimize that to a degree. However, we do not feel that we have gone overboard on that and have made too drastic of a change, but tried to become a little more in line with national and state standards. With that, I'd ask if there are any questions. Be happy to answer them.
So one benefit I was thinking to this is, obviously we don't want to pave the world, but some of our, like Blaine's Farm and Fleet, might be overparked, even based on this, if we're reducing the parking ratios a little bit. Will staff be kind of reaching out to them so they at least understand that they don't have to have all of that parking? Like some of these sites could then carve out certain chunks of that for other uses if they wanted to. That would be a kind of a proactive approach to it.
We certainly can. I think Farm and Fleet is a wonderful example of a location that not only has one outlot there currently, but does have the space for more potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes,
Awesome.
at your direction, we'd be happy to do that.
Cool.
I'm very happy to see this. I think it's business-friendly and smart land utilization. And I like to see the downcast lighting, too.
All right. If there are no other comments, is there a motion? This is on the recommendation.
Second.
Oh, who is the motion?
How about making a motion first?
Oh, I thought trustee Bond had made the motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Go ahead.
Trustee Marisak,
Yes.
Trustee Bond,
Yes.
Trustee Spurling,
Yes.
and Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. Thank you.
This is what happens when Denny and Pete aren't here.
And then ordinance 1783 is actually approving that change to the zoning ordinance for parking. It's the first reading. We'll vote on that at a future meeting. Cool. Item E, we have ordinance 1781, creating a Class G liquor license for Niners Grill. This is a waiver of first and passage on the second reading.
Yes, thank you. Previous meeting, we discussed liquor license for Niners Grill. Mohammed had came here and spoke. Thank you, Laura, for creating this liquor license G for them. So tonight, I'm asking for approval for 1781 ordinance for an increase in Class G liquor license to 11 to allow Niners Grill to have a liquor license.
Awesome, thank you. Questions?
This is the one where it's 50/50, correct?
Correct.
This isn't a different type.
No, this is the usual restaurant license.
Thank you, I just needed clarification.
So this is not really unusual.
I think when you said create, I was thinking it was a different one
A
than.
new class.
Well, the
Instead of-
text
Oh,
says
yeah.
there are
The
no
creation
such
is just the
Class
creation
G
of number
license.
11 to
Gotcha.
issue.
So we were just increasing the number.
Correct.
Number of G licenses.
Yeah, like all of the G licenses that we have, 10 are out. So we need to create another physical license.
All right.
So, but this is my favorite type of liquor license.
Which is a good problem to have.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move to approve it.
Second.
All right.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yay.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
Yes.
That carries 4-0. All right, moving on to item F from consent, the appointment of Doug Marisak to the MEDC board. And I'll turn it over to anybody.
I'm the one who asked that this be pulled off the agenda, the consent agenda. I've spoken with Trustee Marisak. He knows it's nothing personal. My concerns were the fact that we've got, he also serves on the MEDC board, and it could potentially be with the new loan committee, there could be MEDC members that come in for a potential loan, and it causes a potential conflict. And like I said, it's nothing against Trustee Marisak. I wouldn't want any of the village trustees to occupy both of those spots, because I think we've learned it's what is perceived. And so those were my concerns.
Okay.
And I mentioned to Steve earlier, because he was very forthcoming and came and spoke to me. We have a similar issue because Doc is on the MEDC board, as well as the loan fund, as well as Scott Vickers is also on both of those boards. So, and they do kind of work hand in hand with each other, because you kind of know the developments that are coming and the background of them.
Well, that and the actual loans
Are
that
actually
could be
approved by the
given out were approved here in this room.
Yeah, we approve those, not the committee. The committee just decides whether to recommend it to the planning commission, whether to bring it down to the board and make a recommendation or not.
Yeah, from a legal standpoint, I don't believe that there's any conflict in these two roles. Again, I would have to double check the statute, but because they're both recommending bodies and subcommittees essentially of this board, and this board's the ultimate decision maker, I don't believe that there would be a conflict. Again, though, it's a matter of policy as to whether or not you want.
Yeah, and the MEDC doesn't actually approve anything.
Correct.
So it's like if,
My concern is you have the same policymaker in all three of those locations, the loan committee, the MEDC board, and then also as a village trustee.
And that's certainly a policy decision for the board.
yeah, okay. So it's the pleasure of the board. Doug is the only member of this board that reached out for the loan committee, so thus he was appointed to that, and has expressed interest in the MEDC as well. And those meetings are during the day. So it's the pleasure of the board.
I'd be happy to serve on the MEDC board, it's fine.
So how do we act on this? That's what I'm looking for tonight. The appointment of Doug. I still think Doug is well qualified, and I would still put that forward.
Did we go through and appoint Doug to the MEDC board previously?
To the loan committee,
The loan.
the MEDF, the Downtown Loan Fund, yes. Not to the MEDC.
That's what this vote is.
That's what this is.
Okay, yeah, then my vote wouldn't be no. And if Trustee Spurling would like to take that MEDC seat, I'm fine with that.
Right, but we still have the appointment of Doug Marasek. We have to take action on that tonight. I understand how the two of you
Okay.
feel. And so we can table it, we can vote on it. Really, those are our two options.
Does this require action tonight for any reason?
No, it doesn't. There's a meeting.
MDC meeting
Yeah, there's an
tomorrow
MEDC
night.
meeting.
Tomorrow.
And if you recall, Trustee Lee currently serves on MEDC.
And frankly, that's why I had asked to speak with Administrator Zolfel. I had misread this, and I thought it was to the committee, and I was like, well, didn't we already do that?
Yeah.
And then because I knew that, I was thinking about that situation, so I was asking for clarification when we stepped in there. I didn't realize this was to the board, the MEDC
And-
board.
Right.
Also to clarify, because Denny and I have had several conversations, when I was expressing interest in it, we only get one vote over there. So he is actually the voting member of this board there. I'm there as, if he can't make it to the meeting, the backup person to be at those meetings. He is actually the voting member.
Mhm. Okay.
Teresa, could you clarify your feeling about this? Is it a position you want to serve in?
I would be happy to serve it. I have been a volunteer previously to being on the village board. I'm very familiar with the MEDC. I have no problem serving on that board. And I absolutely get where Trustee Youngerman is coming from. I hadn't even thought about that until you had mentioned it. But I would say I'm uncomfortable with having the overlap like that.
Yeah, so of the, and that's, I mean, everybody's entitled to that opinion on that. Of the members that are, actually, now that I think about this, the MEDC board, are any of those businesses that they represent in areas that could even get the loan funding? Doc? Because remember, we carved out specific areas of town?
Mm-hmm.
Rush Copley is not in Montgomery. EEI is not in Montgomery. What two banks are there?
Old Second.
Yeah, Scott Vickers
Bridgeview.
would not be.
Yeah, Old Second's not in Montgomery. First National, no. Bridgeview Bank, which is in Oswego. I'm missing. Ozinga, they're not in the loan fund area, correct?
No.
Ozinga hasn't been to a meeting since I've been on board, but good. BVF? They're not on the board. Who else is on the board that it might be missing?
Caterpillar.
Caterpillar? Are they in the loan fund?
Not in the village.
Okay.
Not in the village, so.
Oh, yeah, they're not in the village, so they can't get the funding. Yeah, and so of the MEDC board members, one of them could apply for the funds, but he's actually the guy that's on the committee, which would probably mean he can't even apply for it anyway. That's a direct conflict, because, he'd have to recuse himself. So with MEDC board members, there is no potential for essentially him chumming up to one to get stuff approved, which wouldn't happen anyway. But still, the perception, that's what we're talking about. So none of them can even apply for it.
Just so it doesn't get lost in the soup, I think Doug is eminently qualified for this as well. We have two good candidates, so.
Right.
The choice is either to move on the agenda item or to move to table.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I move to nominate Doug.
Which is the actual
Correct, that would be to approve.
To approve.
yeah, the appointment. Okay. The motion, is there a second? Since they're not going to second, if you don't second, it'll die.
Oh, second.
Okay. That's fine. And let's call the roll. If there's no discussion, any more discussion?
I mean, I just want to state that it was something that I actually sought out and I asked about becoming involved in more because MEDC interests me. The marketing of it, our backgrounds cross paths a little bit with that. So that's why it's something that I actually asked about becoming a part of.
All right, call the roll, please.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
No.
Trustee Youngerman.
No.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Okay, so that's tied 2-2. I'm not going to vote on this and wait until these two come back. And I'll put this on, since it fails, we'll add this to a future meeting. Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on. Items for discussion? New or unfinished? We already did future meetings. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yay.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
And Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
That's why I didn't catch on. I heard your voice.